Well, here's the part where we get naked.
Hey guys, hello and happy Sierra Sunday. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't noticed, I have a new backdrop that I'm shooting this video in. I kind of feel like the way I'm set up right now would be perfect if I were doing like a taped reading of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Not The Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh my gosh, I've been working at Disney too long. The Night Before Christmas. But anyway, hello MTV, welcome to my living room. So the video I am making today is sort of a behind the scenes of my recent short film. If you don't know too much about me, if you're new to my channel, I am an actress. I live in Los Angeles and I do short films, music videos, commercials, whatever kind of acting work I can get my hands on. I'm just starting out with booking stuff in the industry, so very new, but still really excited about the journey. So recently, I acted in a short film directed by Gilbert Sosa. He is a really awesome director. He has a lot of prominence in the Latin American community, and he's recently been breaking into the American market, and he started doing so with this short film. It's called First Timers, and it was produced by Riveting Entertainment. I definitely wanted to show a few little sneak peek clips throughout this video that I'm making, but the link to the complete whole film is down below in my description, so be sure to go check that out if you want to see the entire thing. It definitely is rated PG-13/R. There is use of language and there is some nudity as well as sexual content, so just be aware. I wouldn't watch it with your younger siblings. So as far as like the beginning of how the process went, how I auditioned for the film, I have like a whole list of like Q&As that people asked me through my Instagram, so I definitely want to include a bunch of those. How did I audition for it? And then also, how did the audition process go and what did I do? So I actually, I do have a commercial agent that submits me out for commercial projects, but this is not a commercial, this is a theatrical project. So like acting a character versus playing a commercial, they're like separate departments. So my commercial agency will never send me out for theatrical projects. I would need a theatrical agent to do that, which I don't have at this time, but I'm working towards it. This one I did not submit through with an agent. I actually got this one by booking it myself, and I got it through Backstage. Now, Gilbert, the director, actually posted on his Instagram open auditions for this film, so it's rare that you'll find something like this that has completely open auditions, and he said he received like 2,000 submissions like across the board for these roles. I found it through Backstage, which is an online submission websites such as Actors Access or Casting Frontier, LA Casting, where you put up your profile and your reel and your credits, your website, all of your information, and then you will submit for random projects and submit a headshot, submit like a cover letter, whatever is applicable, and then you can get auditions that way if they like your profile. I actually got an in-person audition from submitting online, and I believe Gilbert only auditioned, I think, 9 people in person, maybe 10 out of 2,000 submissions, which is pretty lucky. I got really lucky with that one. And then for the actual audition process, I read sides from the film, just pretty much just the dialogue. And then for the callback, there were only 4 girls that were called to the callback. And at the callback, we actually read with the actor, Nick Mariko, who is cast as my co-star. And he was cast first, so we read with him in the audition, and it was kind of a chemistry read. So the 4 of us got to see, or they got to see who, you know, meshed the best with him. So that was the callback, and then after the callback, I found out probably 3 or 4 days later that I had gotten the part, so that was super exciting. But definitely if you're a starting out actor, get your profiles up on, you know, Actors Access, Casting Frontier, Backstage, LA Casting, all of those things, and they do cost money, so it is an investment, and I have actually booked a lot of work from Backstage. My first short film I did after moving to LA, my big Idaho shoot in the snow, if you've been following me for a while, you probably know what I'm talking about. If not, I'll link to some stuff up there so you can watch about it. But that one I actually also booked through Backstage, and that was a paid gig. This one I just did was a paid gig, so both super exciting things on that front. Let's move on to the next thing, because again, I want to share like all of my stuff about this, but I also don't want it to be like blah 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 and like really lengthy, so I'm trying to find a happy medium here. What were the days like in terms of the schedule and how long was the shoot? So this film was different in the sense that it was done super quickly. The turnaround from casting to rehearsal to shooting was so fast. We got cast on a Friday, had our first rehearsal the next week, had another rehearsal the following week, and then we shot 3 weeks after casting, which I think is a really, or maybe even 2.5 weeks. It was a very quick turnaround. So we did 3 rehearsals before we shot the film, and then our actual shooting day was one 12-hour day. Now, 12-hour days are actually really, really common in the film industry. When you're shooting projects, it's super common to work from like an 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. kind of a deal. You do have, you know, little breaks for lunch and things like that, but long days in film are really, really, really common. I was on camera doing, you know, the on-scene rehearsals and all of that throughout the entire day. Everything was also shot in one room, which is different than any other project I've been on. If you watch the film, you'll notice that the entire thing takes place in one room. So as far as camera moves and setups and, you know, resetting up the lighting and the sound and everything was very minimal because it was all in one small room. It was really snappy. We moved through everything really efficiently and shot the entire film in one day. So another big question that people have asked me about is, if you watch the film, you'll notice that my character Anna is paraplegic and she is in a wheelchair. It's stated in some of the information about the film that she was in a car accident about 4 years prior to when the film takes place, and so she is wheelchair bound with limited use of her legs. And I was really nervous to play someone differently abled because my biggest concern was that I would be inappropriate by not having the full physicality. If you've watched Eddie Redmayne in Theory of Everything, or any actor who's played someone differently abled or someone with an, you know, ability challenge, it's always so important that they get the nuances of the movement to be as realistic and true as possible. And that was my biggest concern because we had such a quick turnaround that I had very little time to prepare that kind of physical work and practice, because it was really important to me that I, you know, wasn't sitting in a wheelchair and then, you know, inadvertently started moving my legs, because I think that would not be, it'd be offensive, and it wouldn't be true to someone's condition who is, you know, has those challenges. So that was my biggest thing, is before we started shooting, I took like 30 minutes and just moved around the entire house, like in the wheelchair, and I got, you know, comfortable with it, learned how it would move. I started, you know, preparing myself to like stop moving my legs. I tried to not move them during our downtime and try to, you know, keep myself, you know, as true to the physicality of the character as possible, just so I could stay in that mindset. That was really important to me. So yeah, I think the biggest thing was just wanting to do Anna justice and to not make light of her condition, but also not to make the entire film be about it either. You know, she's still a super happy girl, really excited about her time with her boyfriend, and to not, you know, make her life sad or miserable because she is differently abled, but just to sort of add it as a challenge she has when trying to have normal milestones in her life. Now, one of the biggest things that everyone wants to know about is the nudity, because if you watch the whole film, you'll see the whole intimate scene. How was I comfortable? How did the nudity go? How did those conversations go? I knew that as soon as I read the breakdown on Backstage when I was submitting to audition for this film, that there was going to be nudity in it. They totally, you know, were upfront about it. This is what they wanted. But they expressed how it was going to be tasteful, more of a coming of age than like a gratuitous sex scene kind of deal. So those were all things that I had to take into consideration. I had to realize if I'm going to audition for this, I have to be prepared for it. In my audition, I showed my bra to the director and the casting director, and I was like, well, if I can do this now, I can do this during shooting. So that was the first way I got that out of the way. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that in any audition that has a nude leaning scene in it. It's not like I would just do that at random, but we were actually reading and like going in the audition, doing the scene in which it calls for that. So I thought that was the best way to kind of get over that from the get-go. When we were on set, everybody was really respectful, which I appreciated. In between takes, you know, they had me put my shirt back on. When we were doing the actual intimate filming of the intimate moment, you know, they'd have the blankets pulled up over us so that you could, you know, you could see implied motion, but it wasn't like, oh, let's stick the camera down there and capture as much as possible, because that wasn't the vibe of the movie. The movie, again, is like a coming of age story between two, you know, teenagers who are in love versus, you know, something that's trying to be more raunchy. When it came to shooting, I was definitely a little nervous. I was a little nervous about, you know, oh, my parents are gonna see this and my boyfriend is gonna see this. But I had to take into account that, you know, these things are parts of life, and the intimacy and, you know, growing, you know, high schoolers having emotions and feelings, that's there's nothing shameful about that. That's extremely normal. And, you know, it happens to people in real life, and some people who are actors are lucky enough to get to portray those stories on camera. So that's just kind of how I had to frame that in my mind. I wasn't doing something that I found distasteful. I thought it was tasteful, and I thought it was a really sweet story, and I was looking forward to bringing all the elements together, and so that was pretty much that. I just kind of had to get over that. Now in the actual like filming of it, it was very awkward. Nick Marico, my co-star again, he was great, but we hadn't met each other prior to this shoot, and we'd only had a few rehearsal days, so we hadn't had a lot of time to get to know each other, and we certainly hadn't practiced any of the intimacy stuff prior to the film. And it was really hot in the room. We were both really sweaty. We were both very tired and a little awkward. And one of the questions that I got on my paper was, oh, did you laugh during any of the scenes? We laughed so much during our intimacy scenes. We had to reshoot or like go back and redo the takes of so many, because we would like be in like the hot and heavy moment of the scene, and then we both would just like look at each other and have this moment. We would just like bust out laughing, and it was really hard to take it seriously, especially if like, I don't know, then he would crack a smile and then I would crack a smile, and we were like, so, you know, some of that actually stayed in the film because it created some of those real moments in the scene in the film where my mom comes home, who's played by Jill Vertis, and she's amazing. She was on Dance Moms, and she played my mom in the film. She comes home in the film, and we're like rushing to put our clothes back on, like in a hurry, and like laughing and giggling at each other. That was totally because we were like struggling to keep a straight face and we were laughing. So, but they ended up including it because it seemed really natural. So if you don't know Jason, he is my wonderful boyfriend, and a lot of people asked how, including my director, like when we were shooting this, like, you know, is your boyfriend gonna feel weird about this? Like, how does he feel about when you shoot these kind of scenes? And I can say, like, with 100% confidence that Jason is so amazing about all of my acting work. He is so supportive, and he understands that these scenes are a part of my career, and that they don't mean anything other than me portraying a character. It's not Sierra having intimate scenes with another guy. It's Anna, my character, having intimate scenes with her boyfriend named JC. It's not Sierra and Nick. And he's really understanding about that. He's shared my film with everybody. He's been so supportive, so there's literally been no conflict with us. But at the end of the day, it is work, and I'm doing a job, and at the end of the day, I go home and I come back to my personal life, which is separate from my work life, which may include intimacy with another person, which you really wouldn't encounter in any other job. But those are the delights of acting, are they not? So somebody else asked on my Instagram, what is my process for developing a character? So for developing a character, where I start with at the very beginning is something that I learned when I was getting my degree in acting at Chapman from one of my favorite acting professors, which is, what would I do if I were this character in these given circumstances? And by adopting that mentality, it's the best way to stop yourself from acting. Now, obviously, when you act, you're acting, but you don't want to be acting. You don't want to be faking something or acting as if, you know, because that's when things start to look fake and cheesy, and I think anyone can discern when a good movie is good or bad, and oftentimes it's because you can tell when an actor is acting. And by adopting the, what would I do if I were this character in these given circumstances, it takes it all very personally, and you can, you know, sort of adopt in yourself, like, what would I do if I were Sierra, but I was presented with all of Anna's circumstances right now? And that's the basis of how I start to form Anna. You know, after I've done all my work, I don't necessarily think like, oh, well, I'm Sierra in this character, but it, you know, I can adopt Anna by sort of finding common ground between Sierra and Anna, and then I start to find how to relate to her character and how to, you know, assimilate one of her struggles she's having with a struggle I've had in my own life, and that's how you can bring your own raw emotion into it. Do you ever feel like you'll get stuck being typecasted? Yeah, it's pretty much either been like the quirky and relatable protagonist, or it's been like the bitchy, rich, kind of dumb, like Blair Waldorf or rich girl in a prep school type. Those have kind of been the two main typecasts I've been played as, and honestly, at this point, I don't care about being typecast, because if I'm being typecast, it means I'm being cast, and it means I'm getting work. When I'm booking bigger projects, hopefully, and I'm, you know, making more of a name for myself as an actor, that I will have a little more freedom with the parts that I play, and I'll be able to sort of pick and choose parts I want to play, you know, like a lot of bigger time actors do. But at this point, if I'm getting cast in something and if I'm getting typecast in the same role every time, but I'm getting paid acting gigs, I can't really complain. So I was super grateful to get this. I recently did like a sketch short, a comedy thing with Markian on Facebook, where I'm playing like this super like dumb white girl who like doesn't understand bilingual people. Like, it's really funny, but like that's not me at all. I'm not like that kind of person. But it's so fun to play those kind of roles because you get to be the kind of person that you would laugh at and make fun of, and so you get to have so much fun doing it because you know the other people are gonna laugh at it. So you should check that out. I'm gonna post that on my Instagram tomorrow, but it's on Facebook at Markian's videos, M-A-R-K-I-A-N. I'll just add a link. I'll add a link below, so you should check that out too while I am plugging my projects. All right, well, I think that about wraps it up. I couldn't get to every single question just because I don't want to make this video 45 minutes. As much as I love talking about this stuff and it means the world to me, I gotta keep it at a reasonable length, you know. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, but thank you so much for watching this video. It means so much to me. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I would love if you would go to the link to go to Riveting Entertainment's website on Riv Now and watch the entire short film, because that would be so awesome to have your guys' support on that. Other than that, check out my Instagram, Sierra Michelle Green, all one word, and also my Twitter is Sierra M. Green. And also check out Gilbert Sosa, Nick Marico, and Jill Vertis on Instagram as well, because they did such a great job in the film, and they deserve the love. I will see you guys after the holidays with some new videos coming up, and I can't wait to just keep the ball rolling. So I will see you guys next time. Have a great holidays. Bye!